Hey guys, welcome to Investify, where we help you grow your wealth through smart investments. Today, we'll be discussing recent concerns about the US economy and whether there is any truth to claims of a recession or a potential collapse of the dollar. With headlines screaming about a recession and a possible dollar collapse, it's easy to get lost into negativity. But fear not, because we're here to help you make sense of it all. We'll take a look at the most important metric for the economy right now, inflation. And we'll discuss whether or not recent claims of a slowing economy and impending crisis have any truth to them. Keep watching to find out what steps you can take to position yourself for a prosperous financial future. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's begin the critical issue with inflation calculations. They may not always be accurate because some items that factor into inflation can experience drastic price swings in the short term, making the calculation unreliable. To solve this problem, experts develop a new metric called core inflation, which excludes volatile items like food and energy that are subject to factors beyond our control. For example, imagine the horror of eggs surging by 700% in price. Now, the state of inflation is a mixed bag of good news and bad news. On the bright side, inflation has fallen below expectations and is currently below 5% for the first time in a while. This means that even if we maintain the same pace, we should remain below 5% for the next year. That's fantastic news. The report also indicates a month-over-month net decrease in the cost of fuel, energy, natural gas, and transportation services. However, used cars and housing prices have experienced significant increases. Nevertheless, the specifics reveal a less rosy picture. Year over year, food has experienced one of the highest increases at 7.1%, with cereals and baking products surging by a staggering 12.4%. Eating out has also gone up by 8.6%. Unless you're living off rice and beans at home, you're probably feeling the effects of inflation more than this report suggests. The same applies to vehicle repairs, frozen vegetables, and insurance, which are at the top of the list of highest annual increases. Energy costs have gone down by 5.1% over the past year, and this is good news for inflation because energy makes up a big part of the American budget. Health insurance, car rentals, and bacon have also been the biggest price decreases. However, there is another side to consider, which is core inflation. This measures inflation without including food and energy prices, and it's currently at 5.5% year over year, increasing by 0.4% month over month. This means that rates might have to stay high for a while unless core inflation comes down. Housing is still the biggest contributor to inflation, with shelter costs going up by 8.1% in April, and this accounts for more than 60% of the monthly increase in the index. But the good news is that this only considers existing costs, and rents are starting to decrease, which could bring these numbers down towards the end of the year. The Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell is also looking at supercore inflation, which is core inflation minus housing, to get a better understanding of the overall inflation picture. To understand the impact of high inflation on the economy, it's important to pay attention to the debt ceiling. This is the maximum amount of money the US government can borrow to pay for its obligations, such as federal employees' salary, social security, and interest on the national debt. If the limit is reached, the US risks defaulting on its debt or shutting down. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warns that this could happen as soon as June 1st due to the lower tax revenues. While raising the debt ceiling is not new, it's different this time because both sides cannot come to an agreement. The debt ceiling dates back to 1917 when Congress directly authorized all government spending. They created a limit on new bonds issued and money spent, similar to using a credit card with a limit. The US has a AAA credit rating, meaning it's safe to lend money to because it's never defaulted. The government spending is currently out of control, and if they can't agree on a new debt ceiling, chaos could ensue. Congress has been spending a lot of money for the last 100 years, and it has turned into a political game of tug-of-war over different spending agendas. While the United States has come close to defaulting on their debt in the past, They have never actually defaulted, except for a technical issue in 1979. The biggest issue now is that one side wants to keep spending the same amount while the other wants to cut spending entirely. And neither side is close to reaching an agreement. The debt ceiling has become the only leverage point for fiscal policy in the United States, and unless one side gives in, there will be a stalemate. In an event of a prolonged standoff, Moody's Analytics predicts that stock prices could fall by almost a fifth, and the economy could contract by more than 4%, resulting in the loss of over 7 million jobs. However, defaulting would be much worse than agreeing to spend more or less money, so it is unlikely that anyone would want to be responsible for causing the first ever default in the United States. Therefore, while it is a concern, it is probably not something to be too worried about. I believe that worrying about a potential default on US government debt is not productive, as it's unlikely to happen. Instead, we should focus on Warren Buffett's recent actions and comments about the US economy. He has sold a large amount of stock for cash and has expressed concerns about China, the banking sector, and commercial real estate. Additionally, Forbes report that the top 10 stocks are responsible for most of the S&P's gains, which suggests that the market may not be as strong as people think. While the market is currently pricing in a pause in rate hikes by the Fed, there are still many variables to consider. High-income households are experiencing a decline in wages, which could be a sign of trouble. Therefore, it's important to be cautious and lower your expectations for the market over the next few years. Vanguard predicts only 3 to 5% annual returns over the next decade. So it's important to have a diversified portfolio, a strong source of income, and an emergency fund to weather any potential downturns. While this may not be the most exciting strategy, it's the most effective way to come out ahead in the long run. Let us know in the comment section what you think about the recent concerns regarding the US economy and whether there's any truth to the claims of a recession or a potential collapse of the dollar. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell for more updates here on Investify.